Trae. Come on, it's the day with Trae. Trae. With Trae. With Trae. Come on, it's the day with Trae. Trae. With Trae. With Trae. Come on, it's the day with Trae.
Pump it up, pump it up.
Trae.
Come on, come on.
With Trae.
Pump it up, pump it up.
It's the day with Trae.
This is the day to gain inspiration, to make a positive change in the nation. We're inviting you to partake in conversation, to raise your vibration. It's the day that we will all celebrate all of our peeps that make this thing elevate. Watch the negative fade away, cause it's the day with Trae.
Grand Rising, everyone. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. I want to welcome you to a thank-filled Thursday. I got to say thank-filled because there's so much to be thankful for, and we're going to be getting into it in this episode. But I'm also excited because we got Dr. Sonya Walker in the building. She is a senior program executive at the YMCA. We're going to be talking all about water safety and water equity, y'all. This is really important because when we think about swimming and getting in the water, there is something and some work being done behind the scenes when it comes to swim equity. And we always want to encourage water safety every summer. So I'm so glad that she's bringing her expertise to the Day with Trae today so that we can share in all that is important for you to know out there. And I get to start kind of before I get into it with Dr. Walker, I get to start a little bit because, you know, this past weekend, we had our first pool day with my family, and it was so beautiful because my son and, you know, his girlfriend, they have this amazing friend group where, you know, some of them have children, my grandbaby included, and it was my grandson's first time around the water, and he's only a couple of months old, so we wanted to keep him safe and just have a good fun, kind of splashing around, and he definitely did. But there was something that was so important around when we get together around water. It is all about being safe. And as much as, you know, folks who can swim and they want to play games, there's so much to take into consideration. And that is why I'm so grateful that we are always keeping that at the forefront of our minds when we have our own water fun times. Now, of course, we just experienced that heat wave, right? And so the ideas of all of our lakes and our beaches being packed is a real thing. If you got out at all during the weekends and you see how many people are getting down to the lake, they're doing barbecues and family gatherings and all types of fun just to get near the water. Well, first off, we got to be grateful that we have so much water around us that we have the opportunity to dive in. So I'm glad that Dr. Walker is here today because we get to dive into all of it. Of course, you know it's the top of the show. So this is where you get to participate by sharing this show with folks who you feel could benefit from a daily dose of dopeness right here on The Day with Trae. And if you can't watch us, you can still listen to us anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Just search Converge Media Network and The Day with Trae. You'll find us there. Well, when I get into it after the break with Dr. Sonya, we're going to do a deeper dive. But I also want to kind of ask all of you a question out there, maybe make you think. You know, when's the last time you went out to the water? Are you one of those people that loves to blow up your own inflatables and get out there and have a good time? Do you know someone, or are you someone who owns a boat so you get out all the time? The beauty of living in the Pacific Northwest means that we have the proximity to water that many other places don't. And let me just say, when I am living in another area that does not have access to water like we do, I feel it, y'all. So I'm so grateful that we have so many lakes and amazing ocean front areas that we get to visit with our parks and so many of our different spaces where we get to have access to actual ocean water or lake water, but also there's so much to consider. So this is the time, right? While we have these few months out of the year where we get to experience warm weathers and warm temperatures, this is definitely the time to be out there, but we're gonna encourage you to be safe. And after this short break, Dr. Walker is gonna walk us through some of those ways that you need to be mindful when you are partaking in fun water activities. And we'll also dive into swim equity. What is that, you ask? We're gonna learn all about it right after this short break. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Here on Back to Besa, it's always been important to me that we uplift stories from across the region and that no matter where you live in the nation, you never have to miss a moment of the show as we continue to highlight the beauty, excellence, and resilience of our communities across the Pacific Northwest. Why? Because representation matters. So no matter where you live, be it the Central District or Centralia, Portland or Pullman, or anywhere across the country, I encourage you to join me on this Back to Besa journey by downloading the free Fox Local app on your phone or smart TV as we continue to elevate the very best in our communities.
Disenrollment is a situation whereby people whose birthright to be indigenous is being stolen from them by politicians that have been elected to lead.
Today, the latest or last chapter of the saga concerns the threatened physical ejectment of as many as 21 Nooksack families from their homes.
I think it come about by hatred for our family. That's what it's all about.
Our bloodline is still here. You know, they can't get rid of us. Seattle really is just a big neighborhood. It was a place for us to grow.
We all have a gift of some sort. It's just my vision of what I see.
Theater allows you to hit harder and be more. There's a sense of hope that your story will survive longer than you will.
Stream on the Cascade PBS app or watch live. Fridays at 8:50 p.m. on Cascade PBS. Learn more at blackartslegacies.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Joining me right now is Dr. Sonya Walker. Hi.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for allowing the YMCA of Greater Seattle this platform to talk about this important topic.
Absolutely. I mean, for us, there's always a need to dive into it. And even when you think you're an accomplished swimmer, you know what to do, there's so much that we have to be prepared for. Tell us a bit more about some of the work YMCA is doing when it comes to water safety.
Sure. Well, first I want to start with a few statistics that people might not be familiar with. So first of all, drowning is the leading cause of death for children ages 1 through 4. And many people are not aware of this fact. And 70% of African American children and 60% of Hispanic and Latino children have no formal swimming education. They have no idea how to swim. So when we talk about water safety and swim equity, we really look at this from a public health lens. So it's more than just, not knowing how to swim and being safe in the water and having a good time. This is truly a crisis that we're facing.
I mean, okay. Leading cause of death,
yes,
ages 1 through 4. That is really alarming, honestly. And there's something to be said because I think a lot of times we're hearing some myths as well that I think we need to bust, which is, we know how to naturally float and you can do this, just throw the baby in the water. They're going to swim automatically. Tell us about debunking some of that.
Well, research actually shows that children in those age groups 1 to 4 that take formal swimming lessons can reduce their risk of drowning up to 88%. Wow. So we know that these formal lessons work. Just to put things in a more historical context, up until about the late 1800s, Black communities and other communities of color were proficient swimmers. So we think, Black people don't swim, maybe we can float, or we don't want to mess up our hair, and we have a lot of stereotypes around this. But we're actually quite proficient swimmers until Jim Crow laws came into place. And so once segregation came into place, we no longer had access to bodies of water and to swimming pools, and that's where this stereotype kind of started of us not knowing how to swim. It was really the access that was taken away. And so in the late 1940s, early 1950s, there were some public pools that tried to integrate, and that led to really violent race riots. And so those pools ended up closing down, and we started to see an influx of affluent neighborhoods that were building backyard pools. We started to see private whites-only swim clubs, so that access was taken away at that point. And then fast forward after the civil rights movement, neighborhoods started to build some pools, but these pools were tiny and they were like 3 feet high. So you can't learn to swim in 3 feet of water. So this concept and this idea that we throw babies in the water and they naturally float and they know what to do is really, it's not true. And it's really dangerous because we do see a lot of children and boys in particular who will jump in the water without fear. My own son, when he was little, also, they just don't have any fear, and we're not being as diligent as we need to be in teaching them those life-saving skills.
Wow. I mean, yeah, two sons myself. So when you think about like the gall they have, they're just ready to do it. But it's so important. And so now we're talking about access. When we think about swim equity, what kind of measures are being put in place now that we have a firm understanding of the data? What's being done?
Well, at the YMCA of Greater Seattle, we have been able to offer 1,000 youth free swim lessons thanks to generosity of donors and community partners. So one of the barriers that's in place is the cost of these lessons. So we're very fortunate to have a strong community partnership and lots of donors who are able to help us provide these valuable skills to youth.
So what does that access look like? Because I know, for me, I'm just thinking about for me, I live in Federal Way, right? I have a grandbaby now. He's only a couple months old, but I literally just said, I'm like, as soon as he can sign up for swim lessons, I want him signed up. But what does it look like in terms of access? Because we don't have a YMCA in Federal Way.
Okay.
The closest one is Auburn, I believe, and or maybe SeaTac. So we would have to travel, but what does that process look like for families?
Well, we do have YMCAs in many communities, but we also have a partnership with Seattle Parks and Rec called Swim Seattle. And so through this partnership, the YMCA is offering lessons free for those who are not able to access lessons, but also in partnership with Seattle Parks and Rec. So they too are part of the Swim Seattle, which is committed to providing free access to water safety and swimming lessons to Black and brown youth.
When you think about families, there's some who are like the parents still don't know how to swim.
Yes.
And so then it kind of trickles on down. What can be done to make sure that they're educated enough to understand this is a great opportunity for at least their children and also themselves to learn?
Well, we do offer adult lessons. We offer lessons for all age groups. And we have a program called Safety Around Water at the YMCA, and it's a structured program that provides water safety tips and skills, as well as those formal swim lessons. But, in addition to that, I always promote 5 water safety rules. And when I was young, my parents put me in a safety camp, and it was called Safety City. And they used to say, think 5 to stay alive. Don't really remember what that was referring to, but I think of that to remember these 5 water safety tips that are so crucial. And so the first one is to teach children to ask permission. And that includes going into the bathtub as well as swimming pools and other bodies of water. So from a young age, it's vital that we teach our youth to ask permission to enter the water. Like you, I have a little niece and she's almost 2 and she's obsessed with the pool. And so we're trying to learn, teach her to learn to ask permission before she goes into these bodies of water. So that's the first tip that we offer. The second one is to never be in the water alone. So youth and adults who cannot swim should not ever be in a body of water alone. And people that are watching should be truly vigilant, because we see often that there are adults around the pool when our children are in there, but they might not really be paying attention and scanning properly. So really being an active observer when people are in the pool. The third tip is to not hold your breath for prolonged periods of time underwater. And that's for youth and adults. Things happen, people pass out. So just not holding your breath underwater for too long. 4, always wear a Coast Guard approved life jacket. And we're so fortunate in this area that a lot of our beaches and lakes you'll see are starting to offer free loaners for those life vests and jackets when people are out. And then the 5th tip is really critical. We call it reach, throw, don't go. So these are life-saving skills here. If someone is struggling in the water and you see them, you really want to anchor yourself and reach out and pull them in. If they're far, you can take off a belt, you can use a broom, but you never want to jump in the water. So you want to reach out, pull them in with you anchored to the side. Or if you have an object, a life vest, a donut you can throw out and they can catch it and swim in. But never get in the water to save them unless you're a licensed lifeguard. It is really risky. And you'll start to see stories about children who jumped in the pool, they struggled, and their friend came in to save them but couldn't swim also. So you really want to make sure if you're not trained that you're not jumping in the water.
Wow. These are really great tips, Dr. Walker. Also, I mean, you see a lot happening. We have a major bodies of water, access to them. You know, the idea is that I'll be okay if I'm on a floaty, right? I have this, you know, the flotation device, whatever it is. I got the donut, I got the, you know, noodle, whatever, right? What are some of the ways that y'all are, you know, making sure folks understand how to properly use those tools and still be prepared for anything?
Yes, that's part of our structure of our safety around water programming. It's not just getting in the water and learning the strokes, it's actually learning the true water safety skills. So those 5 tips that I mentioned, those rescues, reach, throw, don't go, all of that is part of our comprehensive swim programming at the YMCA of Greater Seattle.
Yeah, because, you know, we've seen a lot happen with different things and flotation devices where they flip on you, then you don't know what to do, or when the panic sets in. And I just want to ask you about this because I've heard it's always best to try to stay calm because that, you know, quick breathing, hyperventilation, all of that can also aid in something tragic happening. Am I right?
You're 100% correct. I actually have a personal story. So a few years ago, when my sons were younger, we went to the beach in Southern California and they wanted to learn how to stand up paddleboard, but in the ocean. So I happened to be the person that went out when the biggest wave of the whole week came, and it knocked me off my paddleboard and I tumbled under the water. And when you're under there, you don't know which way is up and which way is down. Unfortunately, I did have on a life jacket, but I also just remembered to tell myself just to relax and to calm down because I started to feel myself getting worked up. And when you start hyperventilating, you can intake a lot of water. So I was able to calm down and let the life jacket pull me up, and I was able to float back. But it was, you know, it was a very scary experience, and it's our natural inclination to panic. And so it really is critical, like you said, to just relax and just let that water bring you up. But ideally, you are wearing that life jacket.
Yeah.
That will help you.
I mean, actually 100%, you know, because you think you know something, and sometimes it's not until you're this close to, you know, to tragedy before you recognize, wait a minute, the things I thought I knew, I'm not applying appropriately, or I actually, there's things I don't know in this moment of how to stay safe. So this is really important. Now, how do families access these free swim lessons?
All they have to do is go to our website, seattleymca.org, to get more information. And if people would love to donate to help us to continue with this programming, they can reach out to donate@seattleymca.org.
Dr. Walker, thank you so much for being here and for shedding light on this. It's so important and crucial that we have services like what y'all are providing, because our access to water is vast. And even for folks across the country, when you just think about, like you said, backyard pools and people thinking they're okay, they're fine. You know, we have seen accidents cause tragedy. And these no diving signs are there for a reason, right? I'm always telling my kid, we got a 9-foot pool, there ain't no diving, right? Because head injuries and water, again, could cause you to knock out, and then the next thing you know, you're not flipping over appropriately to breathe. So thank you so much for sharing all of the work that y'all are doing and for bringing your brilliance to this effort so that we can make sure families are safe out there on the water and that folks are learning how to swim and getting these water safety tips. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And this will help ensure that we have a much safer summer this year.
Absolutely. Wow, y'all, so much there to unpack when we talk about water safety. You know, the statistics, I'm just blown away by. I didn't even know that was the leading cause of death for, you know, young folks ages 1 to 4. Y'all, I'm going to wrap up all of this knowledge that we just gained right after this short break. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Hello, welcome to Elite Insights with Carlos Imani. We're looking to offer an in-depth look at event production industry through the lens of client experiences and joint successes. The podcast will emphasize guest interviews, focusing on client discussing their fields and reflecting on their collaboration with Elite Collective. Again, you're with Elite Insights. Carlos Imani here. See you guys in a few.
Disenrollment is a situation whereby people whose birthright to be indigenous is being stolen from them by politicians that have been elected to lead.
Today, the latest or last chapter of the saga concerned the threatened physical ejectment of as many as 21 Nooksack families from their homes.
I think it come about by hatred for our family. That's what it's all about.
Our bloodline is still here. You know, they can't get rid of us. Seattle really is just a big neighborhood. It was a place for us to grow.
We all have a gift of some sort. It's just my vision of what I see.
Theater allows you to hit harder and be more. There's a sense of hope that your story will survive longer than you will.
Stream on the Cascade PBS app or watch live. Fridays at 8:50 p.m. on Cascade PBS. Learn more at blackartslegacies.com.
You on my mind a lot. Don't need no time watch. I don't know how I got you in my pocket spot. Yeah, that's babe, need you every day. You seem like the barging down. Got my heart no barging in. From the bed to the floor to the couch. Might wake the neighbors up. Break you in and break you out. In the end, we gon' make a child. Then we gon' hit the show. Part 2, we don't need no pause. Miss you, we gon' get tipsy. Don't need a power slide.
Copy my steel. Face the fact that. Copy my steel. Face the fact that.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. I want to give a huge shout out to Dr. Sonya Walker for joining me today and shedding some light on what the YMCA of Greater Seattle is doing around water safety and swim equity. You know, it's always interesting, too, when you learn facts like that. I mean, infant death, the leading cause, it goes to show that while we may have an understanding that, we're keeping our kids safe around water, some of us don't know exactly how to do that. And so I'm so glad that the YMCA has these opportunities for us to learn more and dive deeper into this, because we have so much water around us, y'all. The one thing we can do here in the Pacific Northwest is know how to be safe around it. So please go to the website, sign up for these free swim lessons. If you do not know how to swim, or a young person in your life doesn't know, please sign up. They are free. The process is simple. Get with these partnerships that they have out there to provide the opportunity for us to learn how to swim. And I'll just say this, like, I had my kids young learning how to swim. I think, I didn't ever want fear to be a driving factor in how I was raising my sons. And so I wanted them to feel confident and safe around water, because it was something that we're around all the time. And we lived in areas that, again, gave us close proximity to amazing lakes and parks that have water. And, now we have more and more of our parks that have these amazing water features. And even though it may seem like, shallow wade pools, or, hey, those are just some sprinklers, water getting caught in your mouth or in your nose or in your passageways for air and blocking oxygen, that is a way to go from fun to tragedy. So please, utilize these resources as they are available. Let's make sure we are keeping ourselves safe this summer, and we are alleviating any dangers that may occur around water activities. Y'all stay safe out there during this amazing summer time. That's it for me today. And I'll be wrapping up this week with you tomorrow. Until then, y'all, at 11 a.m. Peace. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.